Well, let's jump into the final segment. I teased the Timberwolves talk, and we will talk Timberwolves at some point. We're gonna change it because I said last week that it was too early to talk playoffs, and we're gonna talk Timberwolves to the playoffs. So let's not do that.
Omaha. We're calling that
Sean's
audible.
bringing that defense.
I want to apologize to Easy Wins in our Discord. He is a very passionate Knicks fan.
And he was there for that watch session for the Bulls-Knicks game.
Yeah.
He left quickly.
I appreciate
It was fun while he was there, though.
Knick fans more. I think they've gone through a lot.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And I think Easy's passion for the Knicks has shown that. It probably isn't easy to be a Knicks fan, and I don't think James Dolan likes being the Knicks owner because he forced Scott Perry to go out in front of the media and say, we're better than this, we should show more passion, we gotta hustle more, this isn't who we are, even though they're 3-9 and no one really expected them to make the playoffs. And it was just kind of seemed like a bus tossing after the 108-87 loss against the Cavs, and they went out and lost 120-102 to the Bulls. It seemed like a bus toss from Scott Perry, and it seemed like they were tossing Fizdale under the bus. And it felt like they were going to fire him soon, but it didn't happen, hasn't happened yet. It might happen at some point, so we'll talk about, will the Knicks fire David Fizdale mid-season this year? I'll go to Ricky first. Do you think Fizdale will be the coach of the Knicks at the end of the 82nd game of the 2019-2020 season?
So before I give my answer, the reports were that they never gave a deadline, but it's that they're paving the way to possibly do it this season. I wouldn't. I would not fire him mid-season because here's the thing I think of with the Knicks. How does it help the team? Mm-hmm. Does firing David Fizdale magically make the Knicks better? No, makes them worse, which...
Does it?
I mean, it might not make them worse.
That's my question is, does it make them worse?
I mean, they're still the worst team in the NBA because the Warriors are injured. That's why I'm saying that.
Okay.
The only reason but the only reason the Warriors are down there is because both of their star players are hurt. But I mean, I don't think it helps them. And when will this organization get the memo that, hey, naming a guy a head coach for 4 years and then getting rid of him after 2 probably isn't the best way to build up a team, build up an organization.
But
unless you're saying you're making the wrong
to sign unless you give them that long-term contract sometimes. I mean, I feel like they're put in that situation because that is the state of the NBA. Like, a head coach is a hot commodity, and the good ones you want to lock up long-term. And Fizdale seemed to have some positivity around his name. He had potential. He got the LeBron, gold stamp of approval. He had a little bit of time in Memphis then. You figure a little seasoning. But you know what? You're not going to get a head coach on a 2-year deal, on a prove-it deal, because they're hot names. And every year there's always a couple teams desperate for a head coach. So I feel like because of the turnover, because of that demand, you do have to give them these kind of contracts. Now, I agree with you that firing a head coach every 2 years does not exactly, make sure that, come join the Knicks in free agency. We're building something special. Be like, which time? Like that time 2 years ago, that time 2 years before that, a time before that. Like, that's the frustration is because you figure every head coach has their own, this is what I'm bringing to the team. This is the direction we're going to take this team in. Fizdale, we were all like, what was Fizdale known for? His defense. This guy was a defensive genius. He understood how to get the most out of his guys, put them in the right positions to play defense. Unfortunately, there are two sides to a basketball game. There's also that offensive thing. And I feel like that's where it's been most apparent the struggles have come from because they have a young team and they keep, adding in some veterans, but right now they add in a bunch of bigs or 3, 4, 5s if you want to be specific about it. And their offensive game plan has been very inconsistent and really poorly run. They've looked lost at times. They don't have that go-to answer for a lot of the time that he's been there. And they've got a bunch of young talent. Maybe Fizdale's just not a great head coach. And I've been a big guy saying Fizdale is the absolute worst head coach in the NBA.
What's the opposite of a stan?
A
hater? Is that it?
I believe I'd be a Fizdale hater. He's a great assistant coach. He can get your guys on the right half of the court. But when
it seems like players like him.
It seems like some players like him. I remember some veterans not so happy with him.
Yeah.
During Memphis
at least seems like these Knicks players like him.
Yeah, I don't know if they outright hate him yet.
Those Memphis players are soft. I can say that now because they're not on the team anymore. So Nick won't get mad at
Marc Gasol, so soft.
Well, they were mentally. They were soft. That Fizdale wanted grit and grind, and
That's
what
what
was the big thing? What was the not grind? It was take that for data.
Yeah. Take that for data was a great line. That's so good.
That's the best thing he's done in his coaching career.
Point being, I think that removing him from this team is in their best interest because they do need someone who can work with young talent and get them going on the right step. This is a team with R.J. Barrett, number 3 pick in the NBA draft. Guy is super talented. He has, all these skills of that mid-sized wing guard where it's like, dude can kind of do it all. He's a great rebounder. He can facilitate. He can shoot. It's just he's putting it all together, and you want someone there to help build that. You look at their last couple of draft picks, and Mitchell Robinson was a second-round steal that we was like, this guy's uber talented. He just didn't have a college career, and he's been great defensively. And that's what you want because you're David Fizdale. You've got a 7-footer who's great defensively. But offensively and the other piece of his growth, lacking. My boy Frankie has been killing me because he's someone whose career has been marred with bad coaching and lack of opportunity. And when you don't have a head coach who can grow young talent, you don't build a future. You look at the Raptors, and the one thing they've had consistently is development. They have been a team who has used their G League successfully, who's used their NBA team to build up talent and get them to the point where they can be serious contributors or even more. And you look at the Knicks, and you're like, man, this team runs through fucking talent like there's nobody's business, and they seem to keep missing.
I want people to go out and check NBAmathout.com or NBA Mathout on Twitter. They have total points added graphs, and the last one they put out for the Knicks, they have a median line, and if you're over that median, you're above average, right? So and that median line, so if you're a crazy great defender but not that good of a scorer, you could still be it by how good of a defender you are because you're still a positive of your team. Or you could be a crazy great scorer, a la Lou Williams, but be a garbage defender and still be on that median line.
Yep.
The guys that are able to add great offensive points and then great defensive points are going to be well above average. The only player well above average right now is Mitchell Robinson. He's at 10 offensive points added and then about 10 defensive points added. That's both negative. Yep. You're in the positive. And then there's one guy that is great defensively and then horrible offensively, Frank Ntilikina.
Yep.
And then everyone else is either below average and bad. Kevin Knox is a little bit above on the offensive side, and that's about it. And Elfrid Payton's a little bit there defensively, but this team just doesn't have, the talent, but I don't think the talent's also being used correctly.
Yeah.
And it's weird that I agree and disagree with what Scott Mills said and did. On November 10th, he said, we feel like this is a given. This is our 10th game. We felt that we had an obligation to come and speak to the media. Obviously, Scott and I are not happy with where we are right now. We think this team is not performing to the level that we anticipated or we expect to perform at all, and that's something that we think collectively we have to do a better job of delivering the product on the floor that we would do at the start of the season. So, and then he said we believe in the coaching staff. We believe Scott and I put together the players and we assembled, but we also have to acknowledge that we haven't played the level that we expected. I think that a change at coach would do them good. And I think the spot that I would use it in would be the team that we were going to talk about in the T-Wolves. Tom Thibodeau is very much militant. We're going to play defense. We're going to hustle. We're going to be hard.
R.J. Barrett would never play.
We're going to beat the shit out of you. We're going to mentally break you. And I feel like Fizdale's in that area of, we're going to hustle hard. We're going to have great fundamentals, kind of the Jim Boylan way. And then you see the change to Ryan Saunders and the T-Wolves, and this team opens up. I think this team needs to be opened up a bit. And I think they have talent to do that. Dennis Smith Jr. isn't as bad as he's been playing. Alonzo Trier is better than he's been playing. Kevin Knox is better than he's been playing. R.J. Barrett's better than he's playing. Frank Ntilikina is better than he's playing. I think you could weirdly even say that for Mitchell Robinson, too. I think that he could probably, if those guys are playing better, it's just going to make his job easier.
Yeah.
And I think that Fizdale is just too much of an old-style coach. And I think they need just new blood in there. I don't think this team is a playoff team with a new coach. I think they still need more growth from their players, and they still need to get a little bit older. They still need better veterans on this team. They still need a more cohesive roster when you have Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, Marcus Morris, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. It's a lot of bigs there. They don't have great guard play. They don't have great wing play. They have a lot of good, 4s and 5s. They don't have a lot of good, wings and points. I think changes need to be made to this roster, but I think the biggest thing that would help this team and even progress them to probably the point that Scott Mills and Scott Perry want, or Steve Mills and Scott Perry want, is a change at the coach. I think they need to take a step into a place that's going to give them space offensively, be able to push the tempo up a little bit, because their defense, I think, can be decent with the players that they have, mainly Frank Ntilikina and Mitchell Robinson. Those two guys can create turnovers, and that can lead to offensive transitional points. And I don't think they have that in their game right now. And I think that's going to be a change at coaching. You said Ricky, but I think I agree with Dave when it comes to at least I think that Fizdale would be a very good assistant coach. I think he knows basketball. I just don't think that his system and the way he runs his offense is most beneficial to young players.
You're being distracted, though, and the reason why I'm saying you're being distracted is I don't think Fizdale is the problem with the Knicks. Is Fizdale perfect? No.
If you're going to say James Dolan, I'm not arguing.
No. I feel like Steve Mills should be canned. Should have been out of here.
What has Steve Mills done?
Nothing. And that's the thing. He's taken the job since 2013. Here's the coaches that they've gone through in his time. 2 years with, technically, a year and a half with Mike Woodson. He moves on from him. Not my guy. Okay. Who's the guy he brings in? Derek Fisher. How did that work out?
That was not.
Yeah, how did that work out?
That was not as much him.
I remember doing
Jackson,
a video
though.
when we were the Onside Kick channel before we even knew Sean about how maybe this is good things for the Knicks. It wasn't.
Didn't that line up though with a Phil Jackson president of operations shit?
Because that was then he drafted Kristaps in 15.
Yeah.
Derek Fisher only lasted technically 3 years. He was out in 16. Kurt Rambis took over for about 28 games. Then they signed Jeff Hornacek.
Yep.
Hornacek only lasts 2 years before he's out. Now Fizdale kind of seems going to be the same thing. 2018 by 2020, he's gone. And the whole reason why you look at articles around New York press and their headlines like, the Knicks are doing the same thing. Fail, find the fall guy, repeat. That to me falls on your guy in Steve Mills, your vice president of operations, because Perry's been in here, but Perry hasn't been in here a long time. 2017 is when they hired him, so he isn't at exactly the longest time.
Fizdale's at 18 months.
And looking at the draft history for the Knicks, since Mills took over, and yes, I'm putting it on him because he helps hire the GMs. In 2013, they took Tim Hardaway. Then 2014, I kind of want to give them a pass because that was their first round pick was given to, I think it was Denver. Then it was given to Philly because they got Carmelo Anthony that year. So it's kind of like, okay, you got Melo. I'm not going to blame you for not having a first round pick. Then Kristaps, which they all booed him, but he ended up being a great player.
But that's Phil. So the picks that he's had was 2018. That's when he took over as president. And that's when Scott Perry.
I'm saying Steve Mills.
No,
Steve Mills has set those guys up to then make those decisions.
No, but Steve Mills was the vice president under Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was making the calls on Kristaps and everything. Once Phil got ousted, they took over July 14th, 2017.
Okay.
So then that's when Perry was put in, and that's when Mills was put in.
So that was post
26. No,
that was post 7 because the draft happens in June. So they took over in 2018 and 2019. So Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, and Kyle Guy. Those are the four guys of theirs. I don't think those
Kyle
are bad
Guy,
guys.
I don't even think he's on. He's not even on the Knicks anymore,
he was
right?
traded to Sacramento.
Okay.
But those were the picks that they had.
Yep.
The thing that I think about is like the biggest problem with the Knicks too is this is on the court. Is even watching them 2 games against the Bulls.
Yep.
They need shooting. So what do you do this offseason? And this is not a coach's thing. You sign 4 power forwards. Like, to me, it's like you can blame the coach as much as you want. David Fizdale's the fall guy right now. Any coach that was in here that's maybe not Steve Kerr, not Mike D'Antoni, not one of the top coaches. I don't even think if they could do a good job with this Knicks team.
I think they could.
Like that, like
100%.
They'd be better than they are now, but they wouldn't be a champion.
Look at a team, and it's not apples to apples, but we talked about a team earlier today, and they're fun to watch. They're exciting. They're young. They're not very good at basketball. But the Charlotte Hornets, they're a team who moved on from their star in Kemba Walker, who, I get it, Kemba's not Carmelo Anthony, but like that was their guy. They moved on from him. And look what they're doing right now with a competent head coach, with young talent, with fun pieces. They scrap the books and they move forward. And I think that the Knicks never really hit the full rebuild button. Like, they were bad at basketball, yes, but they never fully reset. And this is
because they've got the pressure from the Mecca being
exactly.
New York.
And I think that's the thing is they went after and failed in free agency this offseason, which fine, but they signed those deals. They signed 4 guys who are all, Marukes can play the 3 a little bit, but really it's you got Julius Randle, who good offensive player, yes. You got Bobby Portis, good offensive big, cool. And then you got Taj, who is a supplemental bench 4. Like, he's a great rebounder. That's about it at this point in his career. And I think that none of those moves were long-term moves. They were just like, we have money to spend. Maybe we can take these short-term contracts and look to flip them in the future. They're not going to do us any damage, but they're also not helping build the culture in this roster, I think, is the problem. When I look at their team, it's like, how do you have, Dennis Smith Jr., Frank out there, you have even Alonzo Trier, you have, what's the third one? Alfred Payton. Like, you've got a bunch of guys under the age of 26 who play guard for you, and you can't find a way to get them out there, to get them consistent minutes, get them consistent play, and get the most out of them. I think that the struggles of the short leash, the struggles of I know injuries have also come into this because all of those guys have struggled with them, but it's the frustration of there's no consistent play, there's no consistent answer. I talked about this last year with the New York Knicks were just a trash team of iso ball. Like, that was their offensive game plan was one guy takes the ball and then good luck. And that was the answer. And it really sucked to watch. And I think the fact that they never developed an offensive system, they never figured out their playing style, really hurt them. And this year they're depending so much on Marquise Morris and Julius Randle.
Do you think it was also because they're banking on guys like a Kevin Durant to finally want to come to New York?
But that's the thing. You can have your hopes and dreams on somebody, but if you're not,
there's no plan B.
If you're not keeping the fires running, if you're not keeping reloading on young talent and working on building up those guys, then you're not going to get them to come there. Because it's why would they want to be on that team just because your name is the Knicks?
And that's why I don't want to say he's not at fault because he hasn't been good, but with Fizdale, that's why I'm going to use a grave because technically he's digging his own grave here in New York. It's like, here, dig your own grave, but he's doing it with a garden shovel. A spoon. I was going to say a spoon, but then I'm like, you know what? RJ Barrett and them, I want to give them a little more credit. It's like a gardening shovel. It's like, here, win a championship, dig this hole, but you're not giving them an actual shovel to do it with.
I think you can make the argument that the roster could be better, and obviously we bashed their free agent signings. The fact that they signed 4 power forwards this offseason. That was something that I think they didn't sign bad guys. Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, those guys are good players. Bobby Portis is fine.
He's a bench scorer.
Taj Gibson's old. That's pretty much it.
He's a good locker room guy.
Yeah.
There was one thing, but still.
So I think that who's more at fault for the fact that they're 3-9 this year, I think that falls on Fizdale. The fact that they wouldn't be a playoff team this year, I think that's more on Mills and Perry.
Agreed.
However, it's only been 2 years of their tenure. Yep. It's not like the Bulls where, they've been in Garpax has been in power for 18 years?
Almost?
Yeah, 20 years now, and we haven't seen consistency out there. Right now, I would say that the play on the floor out there for the Bulls is more on Boylen because there is no consistent rhetoric. He's always off the wall. He's always saying they're playing well, and they're not. I don't think that Jim Boylen's clicking with the Bulls right now. They have the talent, and I think this team would be better. But I don't think the on-court product is on Garpax right now. But the past 20 years have been on Garpax.
But I
think that's where we are at in the situation. I think Mills and Perry deserve more time. I don't think Fizdale does.
The thing that's different too is the Bulls have played teams, especially in those first 10, that were definitely winnable. Cleveland, Charlotte, New York. We lost against. I'm mixing one. Who did we play? Right before Toronto, we played somebody else. But you look at the Knicks, their games have been San Antonio, better team. Nets, better team. Celtics, better team. The Bulls, right in their alley. They beat the Bulls in New York. Orlando, Magic are better. Boston's better. The Kings haven't been playing well. Maybe you can say they should have beat the Kings. The Grizzlies, that's right.
Yeah.
We beat the Grizzlies, though. We won that game.
Yeah, one time. 1 or 2.
But the Kings, you can say maybe they should get a win there. Maybe they should have beat Detroit because Detroit hasn't been too hot to start the year.
Because they've been unhealthy.
Dallas, better team than New York. And then Cleveland, Chicago, that's 4 wins with Cleveland, Chicago. I say maybe you can fight that, you should have won those games. what, 4 wins? You should be what, 5 and 4 instead of 3 and 9.
But should they have lost to what's it called? Orlando by 12? No. Should they have lost to Sacramento by 21? No. Should they have lost to Detroit by 20? No. Should they have lost to Cleveland by 21? No. Should they have lost to Chicago by 18? No. They could have been more competitive in those games. And the fact that their wins are coming by 7, they're coming by 4, they're coming by 3. They're barely eking out these games.
I'll tell you, as a Bulls fan, it doesn't feel better when you lose close. When you have a lead in the first half and then you lose close in the second half.
It's the product you're putting out on the court, and I think that's what matters. Is they've got young talent and they've got veteran bigs. Like that's what this team construction is, and the fact that they can't run an offense out there is what's killing them. And I put that blame solely on Fizdale. That's why I'm all in on Fizdale needs to be removed from the team, because the longer he's there, the more time he could be slowing down young player development. RJ Barrett, again, oozing with talent. This kid was, for good reason, one of the top players in his high school class, going to college. Zion surprised all of us and fucking leaped. John Morant surprised everybody but me. No, I'm just fucking with you. But, like, he has so much talent, and he can, he can maybe in the future run an offense, and that's a great thing. But like right now, what we're seeing is not that. What we're seeing is almost as similar to what he did in college, and you like him to take a step. You'd like the coach in the NBA to help develop the players, and it doesn't seem like Scott Fizdale. Jesus. Scott Fizdale Perry. Yep. Just throw all their names in one bucket. Doesn't seem like Fizdale is really contributing much, and that's why I think he needs to be gone. I think the timing has been the most interesting part about this, because they made a statement 3 days ago while we were recording this about the path being cleared for the removal.
Yeah.
And then you look at their schedule like, oh, they got like 2 games and then it's murderer's row. Like there's a good chance they could go like 3 weeks against teams who all have winning records, who it would be very hard for them, not impossible, but very hard for them to get a win against some of these teams. So you're like, all right, maybe they'll find a soft point in their scheduling where they do have some worse teams coming up, and that's when you pull the trigger. So that way the new head coach doesn't come in and all you eat is negativity, because loss after loss after loss. Who that guy is, to me, is a big question, because do you go with an interim guy and then you wait until this offseason to get your guy?
If you fire a mid-season, one of the assistants becomes the head coach, finishes out the year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a T.O. situation, because Ryan Saunders was already on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So I would have to look at the coaching staff right now. They don't list it. Awesome. Fucking love it. New York Knicks coaching staff. Sorry, I don't know all their 9 coaches off the top of my head. It's front office. God damn it. Love live podcasting.
We're going to be truly live sooner rather than
assistant coaches are Keith Smart, Caleb Canellis, Judd Buechler. I can't pronounce his name. Sorry.
Judd Buechler.
Buechler's right. You were right.
No, it's Buechler.
It's not Buechler, I don't think.
Pat Sullivan, Royal Ivy, and Mike Miller.
Isn't it Judd Buechler?
No, it's Judd Buechler. I know that for a fact. It's Buechler.
Wasn't Judd Buechler a former player?
Yes. That's why I think I'm positive when I say it.
So those are the assistant coaches.
No, hold on. Let's make sure this isn't the same Judd Buechler.
Buechler.
Say it again.
Buechler.
Spell it.
Buechler.
So Judd
Buechler.
Yeah, he played for the Pistons in 99. He played for the Bulls in 94, 98.
Judd's currently an assistant coach. Same guy.
Yeah.
So I was saying. Were you saying that?
No, it's the pronunciation. You guys are arguing over pronunciation.
Buechler. That's why I know, because he was a Bull. Judd Buechler.
That was Buechler. I'm pretty sure it's Buechler.
There's a C in there. Buechler.
I think it's a French thing.
All right. Well, you guys let us know. Knicks fans,
I'm going to look it up on YouTube after
hook
this.
Us up. Yeah.
Fuck it. Make Judd the head coach.
With that,
Screw it.
With that staffing, like, you can give it to one of them. That's fine. But like, I don't think that anyone in that team, anyone in that group of assistant coaches, screams future long-term head coach.
I would agree with that. Mike Miller is on that coaching staff as well. So
you're right. Basketball Reference says Buechler. I thought it was Buechler. I was wrong.
Told you, my guy. Yeah, Mike Miller's on that staff. So maybe him. That'd be interesting. Shout out Mike Miller without the shoe. I don't know any of the other guys outside of that besides Judd Buechler. And Buechler. Bush and then Ler. Buechler.
Maybe
Caleb Canellis. He was a guy with Portland. He was the interim head coach as well. He's a younger guy. He's 41. Maybe that would be the play there. I don't know. He also coached under my guy, Rick Carlisle.
By the way, that Mike Miller is not that Mike Miller.
It's not?
No.
Okay. That would be a good addition. They should add Mike Miller. Anyways, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. I think Fizdale should be moved because I think this team could be better than what they are. But I don't think they're going to be a playoff team because of what Miller and Perry have done.
But is he removed mid-season? I'm going to say nope, finish out the year, and then they probably will make a move from Fizdale.
If they make a move, it'll be pre-December. If he stays if he's there January, he'll stay for the rest of the year. If he's there, if he's fired, it's going to be
before January.
Pre-January.
So I will
2019.
I will say he's fired.
Fired.
I think he's fired. Do you think he's fired, Dave?
Yeah, I think he's fired.
Dave's like, it is decided.
Yep.
When?
I'm with you. I haven't looked at their full schedule for that soft spot of games, but that's when you'll see it.
Okay.
I'm going to go with
11th.
somewhere around December 11th looks good.
Why?
Because that's after the murderous row.
Then you go Golden State, Sacramento, Denver, Atlanta, Miami, who is a tough team, but like Milwaukee, then Washington. You've got some games in there that are very winnable.
I got my call. It's gonna be so
yeah. There's no.
It's a good area. I think it would be post a home game because I don't think they could fire him on that road trip, that Trailblazers, Warriors, King Nugget road trip. I don't think he could do it there. So it would either have to be the 17th or the 7th. What a Christmas gift that would be 17th. If they fired him after the Wizards game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. If they lose to the Warriors though on that 11th, if they lose to the Warriors though on the 11th, that would be a fireable offense because
would it though?
D'Lo is out for 2 weeks now. So right now they currently have 9 active players. 8 is the minimum to field an NBA team.
Hey man, at this point, tank to the top, baby. Because no matter what, the league's going to give the pick to the Warriors.
Let us know your thoughts down below. I think the Fizdale is causing a little bit of this trouble in New York. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. We know Knicks fans are very vocal. We'd love to hear from you. So give us your thoughts. But that's going to do it for the podcast. If you want to help us out, check out patreon.com/podcast. But for Dave Oster and Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.